Backing up is the most dangerous thing you'll ever do in your motorhome. When you drive your motorhome, you back up 1% of the time, but more motorhomes are damaged while backing up than when they're going forward. Backing into a campsite can be intimidating, but we're going to show you a system that will take a lot of the guesswork out so you can be more consistent when you back up. We're going to show you how to back into a site under ideal conditions, and you can build off of this lesson. So let's get started. Every time you back up your motorhome, you need a spotter to help you. The spotter is your guide. They can see what you can't see, and they can point you in the right direction. The best place for the spotter to stand is at the rear of the coach on the driver's side. From this position, both the driver and the spotter can see each other in the driver's side mirrors. Do not stand behind the motorhome if you're the spotter. If you're behind the motorhome, the driver can't see you in the mirrors. They might be able to see you in the rearview monitor, but as soon as you signal that it's okay to come back, the driver will look into the mirrors as they start to reverse, and if the spotter trips or falls, the driver won't see them and the spotter can get hurt. So do not stand behind the motorhome if you're the spotter. The driver must know where the spotter is at all times. If you're the driver and you don't see the spotter, you don't move the motorhome. You just sit perfectly still and wait for the spotter to appear. The driver and the spotter must be in constant communication with one another. Hand signals are one of the best ways to communicate because they're nonverbal, and the spotter can let the driver know which way to turn the wheel or how much room they have before they hit something. When you're the spotter, make sure you make your hand signals nice and big so the driver can clearly see you and there's no confusion about what you're trying to communicate. Before you learn how to back into a campsite, we need to mark your coach one more time. Go to the center of the back tire on your motorhome and measure forward 8 feet and make a note of where the mark is on your coach. Hopefully there's a handle or a seam or something you can associate with the 8 feet. If there isn't, you can put a small piece of tape there. Now go to the passenger side of your coach and do the same thing. From here on, this will be known as your 8-foot mark, and you'll use it every time you back your coach into a campsite. Now let's talk about backing into a campsite. Have you ever heard of a can of oil called 3-in-1? 3-in-1, that's the easy way to remember how many steps you're going to use to back your coach into a campsite. If you follow this system, a lot of the mystery and guesswork will be removed from parking in a campsite, and you'll be a lot more consistent as a result. Here's how it works. We're looking at an overhead view of a campsite. And right here is an imaginary line about a foot, foot and a half into the site. This line is where the driver's side tires are going to end up when you're parked. So here comes your motorhome. You want to move over to the left about 1 to 2 feet from the edge of the road and pull your coach up and put your hips on this imaginary line. This is position number 1. In this position, it's a good idea for the driver and the spotter to get out of the coach and walk around the campsite. A lot of drivers don't bother doing this, but it's a good way to get the lay of the land so there's no surprises like low-hanging tree branches or broken glass or things like that. So here we are in position number 1. Now the spotter is going to come to the driver's side and stand on this imaginary line approximately 1 arm's length from the coach, so the spotter should be able to reach out and touch the coach. Now the driver is going to pull forward and the spotter is going to stop them when the 8-foot mark that we measured earlier is on the imaginary line where the spotter is standing. Just like that. And you can see how important communication is between the driver and the spotter. Because the driver can't see the 8-foot mark on the coach, they're relying on the spotter to be their eyes. This is position number 2. At this point, the driver will turn the wheel all the way to the right. Once they've turned the wheel the maximum distance to the right, the driver will pull the coach forward and look into the mirror at the spotter, who will remain in the same place as they were in position number 2. The driver will continue to pull the coach forward until they can no longer see the spotter's right shoulder in the top mirror. It's a good idea for the spotter to continuously tap their right shoulder to make it easier for the driver to identify which shoulder they're looking for. Once the driver can no longer see the spotter's right shoulder in the mirror, the driver will stop the coach. This is position number 3. Now the spotter will back up into position to bring the driver into the campsite. The driver will turn the wheel all the way to the left, look into the mirror, and follow the spotter's signals as they back into the site. Once you've successfully backed in, you've reached the 1 of the 3-in-1. Under ideal conditions, it's much easier to back your coach into a campsite from the driver's side. Trying to back from the passenger side is 3 times as difficult. The 3-in-1 system will work, but just be aware that it's more difficult. So when you pull into a campground, have your escort bring you to your site so that the site is on the driver's side. Even if it takes a little longer, it'll be worth it. Now, let's review how to back into a campsite. Backing up is the most dangerous thing you will do in a motorhome. Every time you back up, you need a spotter to help you. The best place for the spotter to stand is at the rear of the coach on the driver's side so that the driver and the spotter can see each other in the driver's side mirrors, and so the spotter can communicate with the driver using hand signals. Remember the 3-in-1 can of oil, and you'll never forget how many steps there are to backing into a campsite. Pull your coach forward and put your hips on the imaginary line where the back tires will ultimately end up when you've parked your coach. This is position number 1. This is a good time for the spotter and the driver to get out of the coach and walk the site, making note of what's there so there are no surprises when you back in. Now the spotter will stand on the imaginary line approximately 1 arm's length from the coach. With the help of the spotter, the driver will pull forward until the 8-foot mark is on the imaginary line. This is position number 2. Next, the driver will turn the wheel all the way to the right and pull forward and stop when they can no longer see the spotter's right shoulder. This is position number 3. Now the spotter will move into position and the driver will turn the wheel all the way to the left and with the spotter's help back into the last position, at which point the coach is parked. Remember, it's a lot easier to back your coach into a campsite on the driver's side. The 3-in-1 system will work, but it's more difficult from the passenger side. Now you know how to back your motorhome into a campsite using the 3-in-1 system. The best thing you can do is get in your motorhome and practice this system, and the next time you go camping, you'll be the talk of the campground when you impress your neighbors by showing them how well you park your coach.